Speaking today on July 12th, Sunday. Hello. What's going on? Tell me in the comments. Happy Sunday, love ya. Hi everyone. So today we're going to be speaking about psychedelics and plant medicine. We'll probably refer to it more as plant medicine because psychedelics is kind of like a colonized word, I believe, or at least that's how it feels like to me in my spirit. And so we're going to talk about plant medicine and how amazing it is for us. Oh, thank you about my knots being gorgeous. This is the first time I've done it like out, and I thank you, Kay got it. Hi everyone, come in, we need you. Come on people, come in, sit down, have a little drink. I've got my ginger shot because I want to, keep spicy for this one. Today we are being joined by Akua Ofosuhene, and please don't hate me for my pronunciation. Sister will be coming on in 1 second to tell me how to pronounce this stuff, all right? I am a mess, but I'm a happy mess. I hope you're all good. Love you. Oh, whew, it's hot. I'm keeping my AC on, guys. I hope that's not too noisy for you. Could you just let me know if it's too noisy for you in terms of my AC in the background? Hello, sister.
Hello, my darling.
Hi,
how are you?
Doing? I'm good. How are you? It's good to
I'm
see
very
you.
good, thank you. Oh, I've got no earrings in, but never mind.
Do you know what? I just ran to get them because I was like, girl, you need earrings. Because my mum's always like, put earrings in. You look like a boy. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yes, I have the same noise in my ear emanating from my mum, even though she can't see me.
I know. And do you know, it's weird, isn't it? It's not weird. It's actually it's quite predictable that these noises that our mothers gave us and that we can't actually escape them, right?
No.
Tell me in the comments, people, what are the noises from your mothers or the people who raised you? I want to hear, what is it? What is it that you hear in your voice? I hear so many things. Like, Simone, you're shining, you're sweating too much. Why are you always sweating like your dad? That's a big one. And you know what? The thing is, I'm my father's child. He gave me these sweat glands, and I don't glow. I sweat beads. However, I've heard that's what keeps us young, and this melanin popping, all this moisture.
Okay. Yes, you see, Love Yaya says about the earrings. Yes, she has. She has the same mother's voice.
It is. Like, why are you going around with no earrings? Hey?
Oh, you look like a man.
A man? Why would you do that? You're a girl. Wear earrings.
How will you find a husband?
Oh, listen, I think my mum has done that to me like that. She's like, don't talk to me about those things when it comes to you. So let's not. So it's so good for you to be here on a Sunday. And it's so funny because around this time of the year, we're together anyway because of Essence Festival. So I had my first Essence Festival with you and your sister, and I love you guys so much. So you are a designer by trade. You make fabulous clothes, and I still have your wrap top. Please, what you're wearing, is that a kimono? That's so beautiful.
It is. It's the first time in ages, really, where I've got plain fabric with just a bit of African print.
Nice.
But, I'm trying to switch it all up a bit.
Why not?
Yes,
that's what COVID is asking us to do. Hence the hair. Hence all sorts of things. I'm just like, I'm gonna do this, kind of thing.
Yes.
No,
We need to give ourselves like 3 months off every year, just to even know if we're even on the track our spirits want us to be on.
You're so right. You're so right. And I think what is also important is just to have that self-reflection and really think like, you know what? I need to do things a bit differently. Like, need to do things a bit differently. Melanated Mystic said that perfume, she can hear her mum saying, perfume, put perfume on. I don't know if your mum was Ghanaian like mine, but I'm just going to give her that accent. I hope you don't mind. But it's quite a comical accent. And, it's what I've grown up with. I can't do another mother accent, actually. So, sister, please. You're here with me today. Thank you. Oh, me that's a now. So, and I just want to tell everyone, these are the small words I know in truth. But the thing is what I love.
But you're doing well.
Thank you Thank you so much. So for me, sister, we're going to talk about psychedelics, but am I right in thinking psychedelics is a bit of a colonized term? That's kind of it's not great. Plant medicine is a far more kind of open and indigenous term. Am I right in thinking that?
I think it's really funny because in a way, yes, but then also recently there's a part of me that I don't know if I'm being contaminated by my brother, but I'm starting to feel uncomfortable at any terms that are a bit too new as well. So I'm kind of like, do you know what? Psychedelics is fine, and
Okay,
let it
okay,
have
yeah,
the reputation that it has. Then it's incumbent on people like me to give the other side,
right,
you know,
right, yeah,
because they've had a bad rap for nearly 50 years, and that's fine for people to be worried about. Oh my God, psychedelics, that means someone's going to take acid and jump off a building. Because
yeah,
this is how we were all brought up to think about psychedelics. So
exactly,
it's cool. We can
yeah.
address it starting from that base point. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. So people, the reason why I thought this conversation was good for Ancestrally Speaking is because plant medicine, because healing yourself through nature is what ancestrally we do, right?
Absolutely.
Anyone of African
Absolutely.
descent, anyone of indigenous descent has always used nature as a healing tool. And so
Yeah.
psychedelics and plant medicine is a huge part of this. However, I
Yes.
realized that I think Black people, we kind of like, what? And as you said, jump off buildings, take mushrooms.
Yeah.
You see, you've seen it in all the sort of Hollywood films. It doesn't look
Yes.
appealing to me anyway,
At
to kind
all.
of be up
Yeah.
off your head and then end up
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
broken neck because you jumped off the roof. So,
Yeah.
but, as we know with all of these things, there's an interruption that's kind of kept us distant from the healing that our
Exactly.
ancestors have given us. And so I
Yes.
really wanted you just to talk about how much how much psychedelics is kind of part of our ancestral tradition, and also
Yes.
just also being responsible, because it
Mm,
isn't something to play with, guys,
mm,
right?
mm,
This is
mm,
not a playtime. This is serious
mm,
business, as with all ancestral traditions, to be frank.
mm,
So
mm,
tell
mm.
me, how did you find your route to psychedelics, plant
Yeah.
medicine? What happened?
Yeah, I think for me, in the 90s, I'd come across MDMA and had partied hard
Girl,
and
do it.
really,
Sorry, with the fist.
really enjoyed ecstasy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'd even
Yeah.
kind of like one day I thought I could hear music in a distance, and I got a whole group of people to walk with me under the influence, and we arrived at a generator.
Generator.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So I've done that side of it,
Yes.
and then I hit kind of, and
Yeah.
this is the side of
Yeah.
psychedelics that we tell people stay away.
We're from, exactly.
And
Yes. This is not
that's
endorsement,
totally,
people.
totally
This is her
different. Yeah,
journey.
yeah. But, I think after about the age of 28, 29,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was done
Mm-hmm.
with that
Yeah.
story. Acid, MDMA,
Yeah.
ecstasy, I was
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
all of that
Of
stuff.
course.
And then actually so then roll forward nearly 20 years.
Mm.
And it was when we returned back to the UK. I wasn't expecting to return to the UK, but my mum became unwell. My son and I had moved to Ghana, moved to West Africa, weren't going to come back. My mum was unwell in the UK, came back for what I thought was going to be 3 months, and it's now nearly 6 years.
Wow.
So
Yeah. And that happens a lot in life.
yes.
Yeah.
So after about a year back in the UK, I realised I was really unhappy.
Yeah.
But
It's
I've
an easy
never
place to
been
get unhappy. Sorry.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I've never been one for antidepressants anyway.
Yeah.
So really it was a journey on how to come back to myself in my new surroundings. And and I started off actually with St. John's wort. So I was having St. John's wort. It did lift my mood. So once your mood is lifted, you start to see more options.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly. So true.
somebody told me about a root called calamus, which is used by certain Native American tribes. It's also called I think it's called sweetgrass or sweet something.
Sweetgrass or something. Yeah.
And calamus is amazing in Thailand and in India. It's actually used as to help people stop taking heroin. It's a really, really powerful
Yeah.
brain calmative. It calms your brain. So if
Wow.
you're not sleeping, it'll help you sleep. If you're sleeping too much, it'll help you be
Kind of
awake.
awake.
So
That's really
I
good.
moved on to calamus. So that was really good. That was an amazing, amazing plant. Just drinking it as a tea. It's
Sister,
good
we're
for
being asked to
toothache.
spell calamus. Do you know, or do we need to
Oh
maybe
yes,
do a
how
quick
she
Google?
spelt it. Yes,
That's correct.
Calamus. Yeah, calamus.
Brilliant. That's the
It
one.
is brilliant. I actually used it to stop smoking tobacco. It's fantastic. So with the calamus, I actually think it's a really good teacher plant. It was really through using the calamus that I realized that what I needed was a reset. And I started looking for stuff. I'd heard about ayahuasca. I was
Yes,
in
yes, me too.
London, and it was like, didn't know anybody who was doing ayahuasca, and it just seemed like,
Yeah.
a trip into hippiedom that I didn't want to go and waste my money, because I'm a careful shopper. So
Yes. And it's
I'm not
expensive.
giving,
That thing ain't cheap
yeah,
either. Yeah.
totally. I'm not giving my money to
Yeah.
any old person in a kaftan waving, a bit of smudge around.
Right.
So I researched some more. I realized, okay, I can't afford to go to Peru and all of this stuff.
Right.
But I felt that there must be an African herbal plant that could
Always
do
do the
what I
same.
needed.
Yeah.
So I literally Googled African ayahuasca, and the medicine that came up is called iboga. And it's a bark of a tree.
Yeah.
It's an amazing medicine. It's used in Gabon, parts of Nigeria, in the Cameroon,
Yeah.
and they call it the plant that helps you to see the dead or the ancestors. And if you've watched Black Panther, the bit where they give him
Oh, that
that,
purple juice.
yes, and he sees his father,
Yeah.
is basically based on what iboga does.
Right.
But it does
Right.
more than helps you see your ancestors. On the brain level, what iboga does is it clears all your brain receptors that it is kind of like plugged into your addictions, plugged into the way you repetitively do things. And this is kind of like
Sounds like I
how
might
all
need it.
psychedelics, yes, this is how all psychedelics work, because we have this thing they call the default mode network.
Right.
This is how you do things by default.
Yeah.
This is why when you're on a diet and you're failing every day, you start off in the morning on the diet. By the end of the day, I know that one.
You're
That's
just
my
seeing my
story.
life right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the default mode network. What psychedelics do is, when you take a psychedelic, where you would go normally from A to B, because the default mode network, all of that is turned off, your brain cannot go from A to B. It goes from A to Z, and then it might go to M, and then it might go to B. So you suddenly start getting answers from the parts of the brain you normally wouldn't go to for answers. But everywhere is intelligent, and everywhere has a knowledge. And this is why addicts, I mean, mostly in the West, iboga is used for addicts, because it's the fastest way
To kind
to
of
stop,
break the addiction. Yeah.
drug addiction.
Reprogram where
Absolutely.
you're always going to. So it's like, no, take another route.
Exactly.
I like
Yeah,
that.
it cleans out the brain receptors, especially for opioids. It just cleans them out. It takes you back to before you ever had your first hit. So medically, psychologically, you can imagine what iboga can do for you.
Yeah. Do you know where this
And
plant is found? Where this tree is found in
yes,
Africa,
so
particularly? Yeah.
all around Gabon, all around Cameroon, in places in Nigeria. It's now being grown commercially in Ghana.
I was about to,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
interesting because it
yeah.
sounds like the next frontier of a market that needs to
Oh
be
yeah, yeah, yeah,
harvested, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's an amazing medicine. So once I started working with iboga, for me it was like my spine was replaced with a metal rod. It just gave me backbone. It gave me strength. It gave me the ability to think about problems creatively. It gave me Yeah, just
Hmm.
options,
Yeah.
options, options.
We're
When
just
one
being
door
asked to
closes,
spell it. How do we spell iboga? You tell me.
Iboga,
Okay. Oh,
Iboga.
one O G
Yeah,
A.
one O.
Gotcha.
Yeah, one.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
And it's good. But what I would say is, if somebody is thinking about taking Iboga, it is illegal,
Hmm. Hmm.
unfortunately, across the
Hmm.
world,
I can imagine.
even though it's not a
So
traditional
is weed,
psychedelic.
right?
Yes,
Right.
because you can't party on Iboga. I mean,
No.
you are flat on your back on
Right.
Iboga.
Yeah, I can
You're not
imagine.
going anywhere.
No. Yeah.
Somebody has to take you to the toilet, and it's very long.
Oh,
It's like a
wow. It's a long trip.
2 day.
Woo,
Yeah,
two days
yeah,
of
yeah,
being under? Oh,
yeah. So, but when you open your eyes, you're back in the room.
but this is why I don't do drugs. I'm scared. I'm scared of everything. Like,
Do you know what? I
ah.
think it's good to be scared, because
Hmm.
when you're scared,
Hmm.
it helps you do your due diligence,
Yes, that's right.
and
You're
it
right.
helps you do your checks and balances,
Hmm.
and you do a lot of
Hmm.
reading and
Yeah,
a lot of watching of YouTube
yeah.
channels, and it helps you
You're
learn
right.
what to ask,
Yes, to be
because
discerning. Like, just don't go
yeah,
into it. Yeah,
totally. There's
yeah.
one guy, he's on YouTube. He's got a brilliant channel about psychedelics. I think he's
Mm.
called, his channel is Your Mate Tom, or My Mate Tom,
Okay.
something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he went and did Iboga just at a friend's house as a laugh, filmed it. He ended up in what they call existential depression, which is a depression so great that you don't even think it's worth killing yourself. Like, nothing is worth doing. It's so deep, that depression.
Wow.
And he needed like a kind of shaman to help him
Come
to
out. Yeah.
regroup himself to come back.
Damn.
So, I think with
Mm.
medicines, I always say, if you've got a friend who's talking about needing medicines, or you yourself are thinking about needing medicines, if you can hear there's a lack of care,
Hmm.
if you can hear somebody doesn't believe in protocols, people are talking about
Mm.
going with their intuition, those are all signs they're not ready.
No. Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
go into this
Yeah. Yeah.
with a warrior spirit,
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Hmm.
with a laser sharpness
Yeah.
of what it is that you're
That you're trying
looking.
to, yeah, achieve
Absolutely,
from
yeah,
taking this
yeah, yeah, yeah.
medicine.
You go in with a game plan. Some people who facilitate Iboga, you turn up with your book. You turn up with a list of questions for the medicine,
Right.
and yeah, and they will help
Okay.
you talk through
So,
your questions.
and to get you there, to get you those answers. That's amazing.
Absolutely, because you're going in,
Mm.
and the spirit of Iboga is very present. I mean, for me, as soon as the medicine took,
Mhm.
it opened up like a film. So I close my eyes, I'm lying down, it's all black, and then it's almost like a lot of medicines are accompanied by a vibratory sound. There's like,
Right.
then the scene opened. I'm in an African village,
Wow.
and these children, and there's some women and a man at the back, and they're welcoming
Yeah.
me in.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, come.
And it took me a little while to move in, because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it had started. I don't know
Right.
why I wasn't sure if it started. And
Yeah.
then it's like their eyes started bugging. So I realized, oh, okay,
Mm.
I better move.
Yeah.
So as I feel myself moving into the scene, then it's really kind of like, they're like, now it begins, kind of, it's like they're
Wow.
rejoicing with me. And I floated through the scene,
Mm.
and then it was just so many things that I saw, that I was able to ask it questions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So at the time, I was having issues
mm-hmm,
with my son, so I
mm-hmm,
asked,
mm-hmm,
and I was shown stuff,
mm-hmm,
and I asked about myself. I
mm-hmm.
asked, I was like kind of very earnest, kind of like, oh, Father Iboga, what
Yeah.
is my purpose in life?
Right.
And
Right. Yeah.
it showed me a megaphone. It just came up,
Mm.
just a picture
So
of
to
a
speak, to
megaphone.
teach, to to
Yeah,
speak. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
totally. And
yeah.
then I think I asked it another
Do you know
question.
what? I'm just remembering
Mm,
when we were in Essence together, and actually, I remember you with the customers and how much you were explaining the cloths you were using, how much you were explaining how we use them in Ghana and things like that, and really connecting
mm,
with people. I remember you giving people that information, that energy that they
right.
wanted, and it was such a
Yeah.
beautiful thing to see you
Oh, thank you.
exchange and give that, because it's what I try and do as well.
Mm,
I
mm,
want
mm,
our
mm, mm.
culture to be open to those who are our sisters and
Absolutely.
brothers,
Yes,
and
yes,
I
yes.
want them to be able to come in and feel at home. That's very important to me, and I
Absolutely.
know you're from the same root, so it's always such
Yes.
a beautiful thing to see. So that's that teacher, that speakerphone thing.
Yeah.
You're definitely living that purpose. Definitely, definitely.
Doing my best, doing my best.
Yes,
And I
yes.
think that's the thing with the medicines is if you go in
Mm.
with a plan, with clear questions,
Yeah.
you'll be given the answers.
Mm-hmm,
They
mm-hmm,
don't do the job for you.
mm-hmm.
What I've now learned really is that comes in with the integration and then
Mm.
other practices on
Okay,
top.
okay.
I'm really realizing that the medicines are like the road openers. Your
I
friend
get
and
you.
my friend
Yes, yes.
introduced me to Eshu Ilegba.
Yes. So this is
And
Diete, yeah, who's been on
yes,
here before,
Yete,
people. Yes.
fabulous, fabulous.
Yes.
And what I understand is actually these medicines are really, if you like, part of the energy of Ilegba. They remove the veil, they open the doors,
I like this. Okay.
and they
Yeah.
give you the strength
Hmm. Hmm.
so that you can walk through them. But there's actually other things you've got to put in your tool bag
Of
before
course.
you walk
Of course,
through.
yeah. And
So
this is it. This is a really keen point that I want to make, is that it all sounds interesting. It sounds like we need it, but you do have to tool up, right?
yes,
So it's the same thing, like, there is someone bothering you and you're thinking, I'm gonna do, no, you're gonna think about the after effects of all of these energies that you're going to put out in the world. And
yeah,
are you
yeah,
tooled
yeah.
up? Are you protected? Are you like,
Mhm.
these are serious questions we have to ask ourselves every day, and that's why it's always good to do reversal work, protection work, all the time,
Mhm,
all the
mhm,
time,
mhm,
because things
mhm.
are coming at you from areas that you're like,
Yeah.
okay, but you have to protect yourself and also have a kind of force field. And so you're
Mhm,
right about
mhm,
that, about
mhm.
having this
And
toolkit.
clear,
Hmm.
clear, clear. I mean, I'm a big believer in tapping,
Yes, yes.
because, we hold so much in that we don't even know we're holding in.
Mm.
And really, we need tools for letting go. I think the
Hmm.
medicines
Hmm.
are brilliant for that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But, on a daily basis, you can't be doing ayahuasca every day.
No.
Um,
And it's
it
not like, it's
even
not to be used like that, is
Well,
it?
this is the thing, nowadays you'll meet people and they're like, yeah, I've drunk ayahuasca 100 times. I'm thinking 100 times? 100 times?
Mm,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's to me, they open the way
Hmm.
and then you must start getting in more tools.
Yes,
So
yes,
I've just learned a new tool that I'm so happy about. I
yeah.
did an Ori course
Nice.
and
Okay. And
I
so, just
don't
for people who
feel.
don't know, Ori is your head, right?
Yes,
That's
yes,
right. That's,
yes.
yeah.
Part of the Ifa Nigerian
Hmm. Tradition.
tradition
Yeah.
and that they practice in Cuba and
Yes.
in Brazil,
Yeah.
but I do not feel drawn to
Hmm.
become an Orisha
Right.
at all.
Right. Right. I get
It's
you.
it's
Yeah.
yes, it's another thing in my toolbox.
Toolkit, of course.
And for
Hmm.
me, in the mornings, I do my
Hmm.
Ori prayer and
Hmm.
I'm holding my head and I do
Hmm.
my prayer and I
Hmm.
do various things with the water.
Hmm. Hmm.
I couple it with my tapping. I mean,
Mm.
from as soon as I wake up, I judge the feeling that comes with the waking up, and mostly I'll
Mm.
tap that out, and then I'll do my meditation. I might have to tap some more,
So when
and
you
then
say
I'll
tapping,
do.
you're literally doing
Yes,
this?
I do faster EFT, or he calls it U tactics, spelt like that. U T
Tactic.
A P T
T
I
I
C
C
something
C
like
S.
that.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
U
right, right,
tactics.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you put in faster EFT, it's there.
Mhm.
So he just taps there, there, under the eye,
Mm.
on the collarbone, and then you hold your wrist and you say peace. Um,
Okay.
I've
Okay.
I've kind of coupled it with kind of like the Taoist thing of
Mm-hmm.
thinking about your organs. And they do a practice called inner smile, where you actually think of each organ in turn, and you're meditating on a particular organ,
Mm-hmm.
and you're releasing energies from that
Mm-hmm.
organ. Lots of videos on YouTube. So I've brought lots of things together for myself that I
Mm-hmm.
find kind of like work for me. And now
Right.
I'm learning more about chakras and everything.
Mm.
I still use plant medicines,
Yes. Yes.
but it's all in concert
I get you. And
together.
sparingly, as and
Yes, yes,
when
yes,
needed.
yeah.
It's not this thing
Absolutely.
that you're
It's not.
completely relying on. And yeah.
No, no, no.
Right.
I mean, I would say I'm relying on it for my spiritual growth,
Of
but
course. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's something. I mean, something like magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do more than once a month anyway, because your
Mm.
brain receptors become full.
I
So
can
if you do
imagine.
it
Yeah.
the next weekend, it's not really working in the same way. You
Right.
should give it at least 21 days,
To
clear the
come out
brain
the system.
receptors.
Right. Right.
Totally. And then, but always go in with an intention,
Mm-hmm.
set and setting. If it's your first time,
Mm-hmm.
get a friend who
Mm-hmm.
knows to sit with you,
Mm-hmm.
and really be clear about
Mm-hmm.
what you're going in for.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you're not sure,
Mm-hmm.
then you go back to the earlier plants. You start with the tapping, you go to the calamus, you go to the
Mm-hmm.
St.
Mm-hmm.
John's wort,
Right.
because
Right.
I think all those things can clear the way
Mm-hmm.
for the big medicine to do big work.
Mm,
Otherwise,
okay, that's interesting to know.
it's like your dishes are really dirty and hard,
Yeah,
and straight
yeah,
away you're
yeah.
putting it in the washing machine, the
Right. A
dishwasher.
dishwasher.
It probably won't come up that clean,
Right.
but
You
if
got to
you run it
soften it
under the
first.
tap,
Right.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
that's what the St. John's wort, the calamus, the tapping, meditating,
Mm-hmm.
yoga,
Mm-hmm.
all those things
Mm-hmm.
get rid of layers of
Mm.
shit.
Yes.
And then you
We've
go
got so
in,
much of it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, well, you go in for the big guns.
Wow, I like that. I mean, psychedelics is a whole new world for me. I've never delved into them. It does interest me, but I do, as I said, there is a fear there. But I'm really interested in just ancestrally how we've been using plant medicine. And I would say from my little knowledge, and also just, what we know when we want to heal ourselves, we know there's certain herbs to do that. There's certain herbs that help us unblock roads. There's certain herbs we use for protection and stuff like that. So that's us using plant medicine. But when we're ingesting it, when we're trying to taking it to alter our state, that's something a little bit different. And so I'm just wondering, people in the comments, let me know, have you guys been using plant medicine? What has been your experiences with plant medicine? Is it something you recommend? One thing, like we had a discussion in a group I run about weed and the strain called skunk, and just how damaging skunk can be to mental
Yes,
health.
yes,
And it's something that people are not talking about enough of, especially the effects of
yes.
young black men in particular.
Yes,
And this
yes,
is in
yes,
Britain I'm
yes.
talking about. I don't think they
Yeah.
have the same strains in the US, but there is a
Oh,
particular
okay.
strain. Yeah, there's a particular strain in Britain which is called skunk,
Yes, yes,
and
really
it's
bad.
not good. And it alters people's mental state. And so, with this discussion, one thing I do know is that not everything is for everybody. So what would you say
Yes.
about plant medicine? Do you believe that, or do you think there is plant medicine, it can heal all? Or actually, no, there are some people that really should not mess with this stuff.
I think it all depends in community how it's done. So traditionally, the first people that we know of in the African setting is actually using plant medicine is the very first African peoples. So they're the small peoples, like what we would call the
Mm-hmm.
pygmies, which is not a
Yeah,
core
yeah,
term
good
really,
term,
but
right?
like, yeah,
Yeah,
the Fang, the Twa,
right.
all these people from Central
Mm-hmm.
Africa,
Mm-hmm.
around Congo, the smaller people. So we know
Mm-hmm.
that actually we've always used psychedelics from day dot.
Right.
And even when we move to Kemet,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see that there are pictures, hieroglyphics, and depictions
Mm-hmm.
where you'll see some actually with mushrooms, actually with the mushroom, some with, I think it's called Totora. It's a
Okay.
type of lily. type of
Oh,
plant.
okay.
So they use that in ancient Egypt as well.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's quite interesting is later on,
Mm-hmm.
it seems some people's what happened was the medicines
Mm-hmm.
were only used by the priestly class. So it would be the
Mm.
shamans or the witch
Yes.
doctors.
Yeah.
They would use the medicines and then they would be able to say, we need to move because there isn't going to be any more rain over here, but there's rain over
Over
there.
there, right, right.
So then the
Yeah.
people would move.
Move, right.
For the Maasai, for example,
Mm-hmm.
they're a group of people who have many plant medicines.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Maasai have plant medicines for courage, plant medicines for initiation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's videos of Maasai men being able to walk up to a lion and take the meat from the lion and walk away, and the lions literally back down to the Maasai. You can look it up on YouTube,
I think I
and
need some
they
of
do
that. I
that.
deal with a lot of lions.
Yes, yes, yes. They use breathing and a medicine. On most videos, they will tell you it's just through the breathing, but they actually also use a
Use the medicine
medicine
too.
as
Wow.
well, coupled with the breathing, and then they garner so much energy of strength and
Mm.
alpha
Mm-hmm,
kind of
mm-hmm. Energy
presence.
and stuff. Yeah.
they they're literally able to walk up to a lion, take the meat out of its mouth and walk away again, and the
I'll be like,
lion does not
excuse
move.
me,
Do you
excuse
know
me,
what I
lion,
mean?
lion, lion, and it'll be like, rah, no head. Okay. Yes, excuse me.
Totally. And they have so many medicines. Different groups have medicines for childbirth, all sorts of
Very
things.
much so,
And
yes.
and even with Iboga,
Yes.
it's taken in community, because if you think now in the West,
Mm-hmm.
they synthesized it, they've made ibogaine, which
Mm-hmm.
is for mostly for addictions. But if you think in traditional African societies, we don't have addictions. So what were we using these medicines for?
Mm-hmm.
And the first person who got me thinking about that was Darren Springer, who talks
Mm-hmm.
really about like the traditional uses of psychedelic medicines in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And in an African setting, they were used for illnesses, and community benefit and community strengthening. And
Interesting.
I would say that in my own life, I've really seen the community strengthening
Mm-hmm.
effects of psychedelics.
Right.
And I think it cannot be, um, that point cannot be stressed enough
Mm.
at, you've got people who we would all agree look like they need to be in family therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, if your family is at that kind of level and
Mm-hmm.
they have the ears to hear it, you
Mm.
can have your family back on track in less than a year if everybody is willing and able to go down the journey of plant medicines, because the
Wow. That's
connections
some powerful
that,
healing.
yeah, it's their stuff that I think talking therapies cannot do. They just cannot get there, because from the
Yeah.
part of the brain that we're using to talk about our problems,
Yeah. Yeah.
we cannot touch some of those problems
Right.
with words.
Right.
And what these medicines can do
Mm-hmm.
is that actually some of these problems don't need words.
Right.
They just need to be gone.
Right.
And
Right.
these medicines can
Right.
help to just
I
get
love that.
them
They
gone.
don't need words, they just need to be gone.
Yeah,
So true. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And that's the power of the medicines when used in community.
Right.
It,
Right.
it does things to ego. It does things to really being aware on a soul level that we are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
That is beyond that words, that we
Mm-hmm.
are all connected.
Yeah.
And so if I feel for you as I feel for myself,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I trust you
Right.
to do for me what I would
Right.
do for
Do for
you.
you. Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's more important that I have that belief and faith. because then you can do your shit and walk away, and the next person can come along and I can still give them that benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And more people do good than don't. So then we have strong communities then,
Yeah.
if we are not going in with so much baggage that we think everybody's an enemy, when actually, if you think over 12 months, how many enemies do any of us really
I know.
meet over 12
Accumulate.
months?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Hardly any.
Right.
Hardly any.
Yeah.
But I think these medicines can really help us be in that truth, because that's the truth. Being suspicious of everybody actually is based on a lie. It's not based on the truth.
You're right.
So I think that's where, as a community, the medicines can be so powerful, cutting through the distrust, the nonsense, the petty jealousies, getting everybody on the same page, pulling in the same direction to your own strength. You know, that's where I think plant medicines are amazing.
I love that. I honestly, there's so many gems in what you just said. And, you know, something Angela and Carol just mentioned, she said, and use with the intention of healing and not escape. And I think that's what you were leaning on before, which is like, you know, this medicine is about healing. It's not about, you know, we're going to raid it up. And
you can't even use it to escape. You can't actually even use it to escape, because it's like a humanity or your brain or your being doesn't really work like that. So it's like, if you take a good heart medicine to escape, it's going to work for what it's meant to do, which is to help you with your heart.
Yeah.
So you can't, I mean, you can use heroin for escape. You can use cocaine for escape. You can't really use ayahuasca for escape. Actually, if you go in for escape, Mother Ayahuasca is going to be battering you about
with all the truth, which you were trying to escape from. She gonna be like, see it, feel it, do it. Here it is. Let me haunt you with it.
And the mushrooms the same. I mean, my last big mushroom trip, I think I went in my intentions, and it was really funny. I'd been planning it for ages, but I realized I hadn't really gone down on exactly what it was I wanted the medicine to do. So actually on the day, I just sort of like thought, oh, abundance. You know, I thought, I'll do abundance. I'll do abundance. I took my medicine, I went down, and a great American says it's the journey of the alone into the alone. So I was alone. And what the medicine decided to show me was all this grief that I still had over my son's father, who died 8 years ago. And I really thought I'd done the grief.
You've done,
you know? I thought I'd done it. I had 6 solid hours of crying, but it was more water than is even normal.
It was like pouring out. Was you expelling it.
Totally. And then coupled with that was almost like a mantra about I honor you, I honor your life, I honor what you've given me, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was really quite interesting. And then since then, one of the integration things is this idea of honoring people seems to be really ever present now. That actually every life is to be honored.
Very true.
When it comes your way. And the other thing it really gave me was about the breath. And I realized I'd gone into a weird subconscious. It was the place, the part of you that breathes. That's where I was. So when I didn't think about breathing, my breathing stopped. So I would, anytime my brain wandered, I had to remember to breathe. It was so I'm crying, doing that stuff. And then you're like, I need to remember to breathe every single breath. I had to make it happen, every single breath. And afterwards, I realized, oh my God, breathing. So when all of this nonsense that's happening around the world happened, and then they wanted us to muzzle ourselves.
Right.
I knew, that story ain't about me.
Oh,
It,
wow.
we're in a
You out there
time
without a
of
mask?
oh yes,
Oh,
oh
wow.
yes,
I'm
oh
not. I
yes.
wear a mask.
Yeah, no,
I
for
wear a
me,
mask. No, not for
uh,
you.
my body told me
Mm.
breathing,
Yeah.
needing the air,
Yeah.
breathe the oxygen, breathe deeply, breathe
Uh-huh.
into every organ.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting. So I had two big cures happening
Mm-hmm.
simultaneously
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
one
Yes.
person. It
Yeah.
was so
Wow.
interesting, so
And
interesting
that's the thing, you don't really know what's going to come up. You don't really
at all,
know what
at all.
is going to be shown to you as what needs to
No,
be healed. And
yes,
and this is the thing about healing, right? There's things that happen, you're like, I thought I got over it, I thought it doesn't, I
yes.
don't even think about it anymore.
Mm,
And
mm,
then it's
mm.
like, oh, you do, and you need to heal.
Yes,
And and it's just so funny how we are able to pile our everyday on top of these things that really need to
yeah,
be irrigated and
yes,
drawn out.
yeah.
And the ugly cry, we need the ugly
Mm,
cries, and sometimes we need to
yes.
shout and scream that I'm hurt and I'm hurting and I'm hurting because of
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
And there's been times in my life where I've flown off the handle, but the thing is that flying off the handle is also freeing lots of shit out of me. And so when I can
Yes,
come back to self, I'm lighter without that.
exactly, exactly,
Um, and Sister
exactly.
Kayla just said, when you convince yourself it was healing, but it's really a band-aid. And that's it, right? It's about us going deeper than we will allow ourselves. Because that's the thing. We don't put
Yes.
our hands in the fire, do we? We don't
Mhm.
do it because we know it's going to hurt. So if we do, we'll just be like, oh, look. Oh, it's
Yeah.
okay. That's enough. But plant medicines are like, put your hand in and keep it there. Keep it.
Yes.
And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, you know?
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
and
Yes.
and
Yes.
you do have to be a certain character, I think, to know that this type of healing is all encompassing, and also you don't control it because you don't know
Yeah.
where it's going to take
It's
you,
gonna take you. Yeah.
and also where you're going to end up after it,
Yeah.
right? Because that's
Well, the
another
thing
thing.
is, afterwards, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the very, very, very interesting thing with the big medicines.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
have heard of some people who find integration
Mm-hmm.
hard. They
Mm-hmm.
could have gone through something that they're still not
Mm-hmm.
understanding,
Yeah.
or they've put themselves through something where they haven't had the best experience.
Yeah.
But even that, there's a learning point. So I'll just use an example of a story that I got.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody wrote to me about went to an ayahuasca
Mm-hmm.
ceremony,
Yeah.
and they positioned themselves in what they thought was a quiet corner. It turned out to be a doorway. Other people were trying to get them out of the doorway. They didn't leave the doorway. They spent the whole time having people walk over them to go to the loo. So in the end, they didn't have the best experience. But in the integration, when we're talking about integrating
Right.
the experience,
Yeah.
I would say, no, you had the best experience you wanted to have because you decided
Mm-hmm.
you weren't worthy of the experience of having it
You
fully.
didn't go into it. You just
No,
stood there and watched it.
you decided to actually be a doormat for people walking
Well,
over
that's
you.
that thing that it's like domination over
Yeah,
someone walking, especially the walking
exactly.
part,
Yeah,
which we've
yeah. And she
discussed
never
here
moved.
before. Wow.
Right. She deliberately didn't move out of the
Mm.
way. And actually, since that time of really looking at, okay, where do I give over my power?
Mm.
She's actually started to really come into her power because she's a phenomenally
Mm.
powerful, powerful medium. And
Mm.
I think all of that was all part of, no, I'm just small. But
Yeah, yeah.
actually, you can't play small
No,
if
not with those kinds of gifts either.
exactly.
Them
And
gifts are for
since
big people,
she's
big,
and
strong
since she
people.
stepped into it, like put on the big
Mm.
girl's pants,
Yeah.
whew,
And that's
you know,
scary. I mean, I know that with my gifts, it's something I've always had. I've not understood it, but it
mm,
is scary. It's scary
mm,
in the
mm,
sense
mm,
that
mm, mm.
this is a lot of responsibility.
Yes, yes, yes,
The
yes.
healing of people, the being a
Mm.
vessel for them, being a medium, being able to communicate to the dead and ancestors and then translate and helping people understand this in their life right now. That's a
Mm.
huge
Mm.
responsibility. And I don't
Mm.
think a lot of us healers are also doing the work of healing ourselves
Yeah,
continually.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I've always said it, anyone healing you, anyone you're getting your teachings from, if they are not doing the work of healing, if they are presenting
Mm.
themselves as the all-seeing eye that knows everything without any kind of learning,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
don't
Mm. Mm.
trust it. Don't
Yeah,
trust it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, the
yeah,
best teachers are the ones who need healing. The best teachers are the
yeah,
ones who
yeah, yeah.
see you through their healing too.
Yes,
Because
yeah.
every interaction, every time you go under and you speak to spirit, there's
Mm.
messages for you too. You
Yes,
know what I
yes,
mean?
yes. I
People
can
come to
imagine.
you for
Yeah.
readings because they're teaching you
Mm.
too, as much as you're
Yes, yes,
teaching
yes,
them and
yes,
helping
yes,
them.
yes, yes.
And so
Yeah, yeah.
that's the thing, you know, it's interesting because as you said, you know, she was like a doormat, but it's also a something for us to learn from that, yeah, we shouldn't be allowing people to step out over us. And also the doorway vision for me is like you're blocking your blessings, you're blocking
Yes,
progress.
yes,
You're
yes, yes,
standing in
yes,
a
yes.
doorway is for you to go through. You don't
Yes,
stand in doorways. And it's funny because, you know, I've
absolutely.
always been like that. When people are standing, I'm like, can you sit down somewhere? Like
Yeah.
I don't like that flow of someone
You
standing
need
when
that
I'm sitting.
flow.
Yeah, like sit
Yes, yeah,
down.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
like
yeah,
people around
yeah,
me like that. I'm a
yeah.
little odd. And it's like the same thing, like if I'm in a restaurant, don't sit me near the toilet and don't sit me near a doorway or a thoroughfare. Do not do that. I will show you where you
Totally.
can sit me.
Because there's a flow
I
going
need to have
past you that's not.
right. And so
Absolutely.
this is the whole thing. This is how the symbolism really plays in all our lives. And when we do
Yeah,
these things, is that we have to take the messages for ourselves and give the messages to others as well. So
yeah, yeah.
psychedelics, it's not scary. Kind of is, but it kind of isn't. And we kind
Yeah,
of
it's
need it,
both.
but not too
It's both.
much. And we shouldn't rely on it, but we kind of need it. But it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
Yeah, you
Did I
do
get
have
it?
to get a bit of a warrior heart, and I
Yeah.
definitely believe
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
small steps first. I mean,
Yeah.
a brilliant thing for clearing, which I
Hmm.
didn't mention,
Hmm.
but really good ahead of any
Hmm.
kind of psychedelic experience,
Hmm.
is Kambo, the frog
Oh, yeah,
medicine.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. You told me about that.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Please, let's talk
Kambo,
about Cambo. Okay.
Kambo is
Hmm. Wow.
beautiful.
Okay.
It's the yes.
It's chef kiss.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
the Amazon.
It's a frog, right?
Uh, it's a tree frog.
Tree frog.
It's a giant tree frog in the Amazon, and it has a secretion that comes out of its legs when it's stressed. Not stressed badly; they're not killed or anything. And
Mm-hmm.
then the secretion comes, and they're put on these sticks that are about 6 inches long, and
Right.
they're just wiped off, and then
Mm.
it's left to dry, and then that goes to all these practitioners. And what they do is,
Mm-hmm.
when you go for Cambo, you go in the morning
Mm-hmm.
because your stomach should be empty,
Empty. Right.
and you have 2 liters of water in about 15 minutes. And then what looks like a kind of incense stick is burns the first layer of skin, just like that. There's
Mm.
no blood. It
Yeah.
literally just
So
removes the
tiny.
first
Yeah.
layer of skin. And then the frog medicine
Mm.
is put on. So you'll have anything from 3 to 6 or 7 spots. It's
I'm
literally
scared.
like, when you go past somebody who's maybe smoking and they
Yeah.
just catch you.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's
It's
like
like
that.
that. I know what you mean.
Oh,
Yeah. It's like
yeah,
out, yeah, but it's
yeah.
not a crazy thing.
Then
Yeah. Uh-huh.
you can swell up a bit.
Mm.
And what it does is it squeezes all the toxins, physical and psychological, out of the organs into the water, and then you purge the water. So you have a bucket,
Ooh. And
but you're
it's
not being
yeah.
sick because there's no food.
Mm.
It's
So it's
really,
sort of
it's just
biowater.
water.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So, and it's quite, and that's another, there's no visuals. I mean,
Yeah.
once I did get a visual afterwards, I got a visual, but there's no
No
visuals.
visuals in it. Yeah.
You just feel very light afterwards, and the whole process,
Was it
even with the
cleansing?
rest afterwards, yeah, it's
Stunning.
only about 45 minutes, and you're
Mm.
good to go home. You feel as light as a feather. Internal
Mhm.
voice is just kind
Wow.
of like
Really
gone. You're
clear.
just very light. Yeah, just
Wow.
you're just like la. You're just walking
Mm.
through with a
Mm.
lightness. and
This is
then
sounding
you
good to
you
me.
start to get realizations. So for me, the first time I did it, I went in wanting to let go of fear because I
Yeah.
realized that I needed things to move in my life. I wasn't able to
Yeah.
make decisions.
Yes, yes,
So I
yes,
knew there
yes.
had to be a fear
Fear
there.
there.
I couldn't quite place my finger on the fear. So
Yes.
I went in for fear, and it was so interesting. The next day I woke up
Mm-hmm.
and I suddenly thought, I'm not worried.
Mm-hmm.
But before I went for it, I didn't realize that my fear appeared as worry. I think I'd been worried for so long, I didn't even know it
That
was
it
a
was fear.
thing
The root was the
until
fear. Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
And I think this is the things with animal medicines and plant medicines is when we're using our intelligence,
Mm.
we're talking, but we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas these compounds can help to
Mm-hmm.
get rid of what needs to be gotten rid of, and
Mm-hmm.
then we know after it
Yeah.
goes.
Right.
So for me, when the worry went, I
Mm-hmm.
realized, that's how my fear showed up,
So down.
was through the
The
worry.
worry. Yeah.
So I, if anybody's thinking about it, like I said before, I think you build up to the big guns. You know,
Yeah.
you start
Yeah.
with the legal stuff that you can
Yeah.
buy on Amazon.
Yeah.
You get a legal
Mm-hmm.
Cambo practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Mm-hmm.
everything is clean, but it also
Steps.
starts
Steps.
you, yes,
Steps. Let's not just rush
steps.
into this. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, because sometimes I think it's
Mm-hmm.
almost a sign of where
Yeah.
you are if you
Yeah.
think what you need straight away is iboga or
Right.
straight away is
Right.
ayahuasca.
Right.
I think that's already a sign that you need to slow
Slow
down,
it down. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
get
Figure
what
out
you
the root.
can get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally, and clean yourself. You know, if you imagine it as a letting go, you
Yeah.
clean yourself
Yeah.
towards this journey
Mm-hmm.
because it never stops. You
No.
know, it's
No.
it's it's ongoing.
This
It's
this is the
ongoing.
thing about healing. And so are you saying that this is also a lifelong use as well? This is something that it should be put into your regimen about maybe every 6 months, every year, every 2 years, that you should be doing these kind of practices with plant medicine?
Sometimes, but people will know for themselves. So the
Right.
person I did iboga with,
Mm-hmm.
she'd been
Mm-hmm.
doing iboga with people for many, many years,
Mm-hmm.
but the medicine told her some years back
Mm-hmm.
that it had fused with her, so she was to no longer do it. So she
Mm.
still
Fused.
serves it,
Okay.
but she
Yeah.
herself
She doesn't
doesn't
do
do it
it.
anymore. Yeah.
Interesting.
So people's journeys with medicine, you never
Never
know
know. Wow.
how it's going to be. It's very individual. Some
Yeah.
people will find a medicine and that's their medicine
Yeah.
and they keep working with it. Some people find, I'm done with this medicine, I'm done with all medicines,
Mm-hmm.
or they might move from doing big medicine to microdosing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then they're taking an imperceptible amount of a
Mm-hmm.
particular medicine, but
Mm.
it ups maybe your productivity or
Right.
ups your
Right.
ability
Yes.
to be emotionally in
Yeah.
touch. Like mushrooms
Yeah.
help you be emotionally available because
Mm.
actually emotions are no longer scary for you.
Right. Right.
So you can hold
Yeah.
space for somebody
For
else's
somebody.
emotion,
Yeah.
or you can deal with your own emotions.
Mm.
Microdosing LSD is brilliant for productivity. If you've got
Wow.
big deadlines coming up, you've got amazing creative projects to get done. Like if you
Yeah.
want to win that bid,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
microdosing LSD can
Mm.
help you bring the best of what you have in you to a
Wow.
project.
Yeah.
And you might microdose for a month, 6 weeks, get the project done, and then you stop. And that's just once
Mm.
every 4 days, tiny, tiny dose, but it
Mm.
makes you sharp.
Mm.
I would say if you're a couple
Mm-hmm.
or if you're a parent and you're going through difficult times with a significant other or
Mm-hmm.
in a situation that's a bit convoluted,
Yeah.
microdosing iboga
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
be really good because that gives you emotional strength, and it
Right.
also shows
Okay.
you
Okay.
your
Yeah.
bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. It shows you your
Right.
bullshit
So you don't
and
escape
it
it.
gives you
Right. Right.
emotional strength. So
Mm.
you can deal with challenging people, but
Yeah.
you can also deal with yourself.
Right.
And
Right.
that's with it being microdosed. So microdosing MDMA can also be really, really good for productivity, for dealing with difficult people, microdosing MDMA, because MDMA makes you very empathetic.
Right, yeah, it's
Really,
the
really
love
loving.
drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're, let's say, toxic office,
Cool.
microdosing MDMA can be really good
So
because
people
you
don't go
will have,
drugging your colleagues with E, okay?
no,
We're not asking for you
no.
to do that. We're not saying you should
You
do
see,
that.
that hadn't even occurred to me.
For me, I was like, there's some people that could do with that drug.
No, for yourself. For yourself. That it can be really good for those really challenging people. Just being able to see things from their point of view.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you let go of you, but you're just able to actually literally overstand the situation, and you're
Exactly.
probably more likely to be able to wield things round to where they need to be. So all these different medicines can do different things for you.
I
And
love
with
this, yeah.
microdosing, it's 1 day in 4. So you're not building up the medicine in your system, because it takes 2 days and then it's out your
Out of
system
system.
completely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
But
love this.
usually no more than a month to 6 weeks. Some people are microdosing all the time because they're in such a high pressure
Environment.
situation.
Yeah.
But they're okay. They stick to their once every 4 days. But then they're normally microdosing, people take 1/10 of what would
Of
get
what
you high.
high, right, okay.
For people who are microdosing like all the time, like people in Silicon Valley and stuff,
Right, I
some
was
of
about to
them
say
will,
it's kind of
yeah,
popular there.
very popular.
Yeah.
Some of them will be doing even 1/20th. So it's even a
Even
smaller
slither.
amount.
Yeah.
But it's just giving that the brain that edge
Edge,
to
yeah,
be
to
able
just function
to,
a little faster.
yes, and not have any kind of a burnout situation going
with
on,
it.
because it's not like doing meths at work. You know, if you're doing meth, you're really
You're gonna
not
have
on
no
the right
teeth.
road.
You're gonna be like,
Yeah, I know.
hi everyone, I do meth.
Exactly.
If a drug makes you look ugly, that's what you
Yeah,
want in your
you
life.
don't want to go there.
Maybe I'm way too fucking narcissistic for that shit. I mean, to be frank, I think that's even why I didn't really get into drugs, because I saw the
Yeah.
lockjaws in the parties and shit where people are like,
I know.
and I'm like, I do not
Yeah.
want to look like this. So, you know, these were some of the reasons, superficial, but I was like, I ain't fucking myself up like that. It just looked to me like too much, you know?
I don't blame you. I mean, when people talk to me about thinking about working with MDMA, like let's say couples who want to talk, I say to them, don't put on any music. You know, because if you put on the music, you might end up dancing and shagging and not talking.
Not talking.
You know, so, you know, you've got, if you're going to take a flood dose, you have to be serious. Like, you know, like I saw a girl who, she has a channel, young white girl, and she does all these different medicines. But, you know, she did Duboga just round at somebody's house. And I'm just thinking, no,
that's not. But that's it. It's the
you
approach
do.
to this. Let's have some respect. Let's find out what the traditions are and the processes and how we should do it. And let's enter this the right way. And this is what we always ask of ancestral traditions. It demands that respect. You know what I mean? And taking that time. It's annoying how people can really be quite imperialistic in their actions towards ancestral traditions. It's crazy.
But you know, some people, I mean, I think there is a division. So what I've noticed is there's the kind of like there's some white people who just want to try it all. There's some Black people who are in so much pain from such a Western eye view that they think all I need is the medicines.
Right.
And it's kind
this
of
will
like,
do it.
Yes. And it's kind of like, you have to kind of drop a lot of things, and you have to get very methodical, because you have to realize what it is you want at the end. And if you're looking for wholeness and happiness, then I'm like, be anal, write it
Right,
down,
right,
you know,
right.
like
Yeah.
really
Really
be
write it down.
deliberate.
Yeah. Have your
Yeah,
process, have your list, and go
yeah,
to the medicine with this.
yeah,
And actually,
yeah,
this is also how you should approach the readings that you're getting. This is how you should approach healing and Reiki and all of those things. You should be very
yeah,
clear on what you're trying to get.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
this has been a beautiful conversation. We only have a couple of like seconds left. So where can people
Oh,
find you? I know, right? A whole hour. Where can people
exactly.
find you? Tell us where they can find you, because I think
So
people
you
want to
can
know.
find me on Instagram,
Hmm.
Akua Ofosuhene,
Hmm.
or my local dressmaker,
Uh-huh.
or my local sewing class. All
Yeah.
three are on Facebook as
Brilliant.
well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. And she was tagged in this video as well. So, guys, it's been another amazing, groundbreaking edition of Ancestrally Speaking. I love you, sis. I love
I
you,
love
love you,
you.
love you. Thank you so
Love you
much for this.
too.
And
Can't
take
wait to
care.
see
I know
you.
it's been so long. And thank you, everyone.
Exactly.
Love you all. See you later.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.